what I was thinking about? I was thinking about who recorded or did not record James Baldwin's obituary. So I called Playthel. I sent Playthel. I called Playthel. This was last night, and I called Playthel because he would know something like that. He was working at the Village Voice at the time, to ask him, but he didn't answer the phone. So I sent him an email. I don't think that James Baldwin had a service.
Oh, no.
Just like him. But I was thinking about who could do the obituary for James Baldwin. And of course, I thought about C.T. Vivian. But I thought about Reverend Barber, who I have really fallen in love with.
Oh.
I'm just saying, like,
okay.
You ain't got to call him and tell him or nothing. So. And then I was thinking Cornel West. And then I was thinking Joyce Ladner. And I think I thought of Joyce because today's Joyce's birthday. And I was thinking with all the people who would have done him right. Who would have not put sugar-coated crust stuff on top of him? Who would have not earned him cussing them out about what they had to say? And I thought Michelle Obama. And I was trying to think, other than my Kurt, Jimmy boy, you kept it real. What might have been said. And then I thought the person who knew him best would have read his works. And that was enough, This essay, it's so powerful.
I'm keeping my eye over here on Facebook because I don't know where Geo is. It's just
I found it. Flip. You had it right up at the top.
Yeah, that's where it always is.
I had somebody dying laughing. The other night, I said, Michelle is the kind of person you don't never have to ask her no questions because she done gave all the answers before you ask her. But I had to do that. I had to do that video about Gilead. I had to.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing that we
that's your guy, the alternate history.
Yeah.
Man.
I thought for Harriet has a YouTube channel, and she did something on Serena Joy and June Osborne and their relationship around white feminism.
Yeah, I've seen one video. I don't know if she has more than one, but I've seen her one
on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. I really wasn't expecting you because I knew you had all the computer stuff going on.
I literally, it's still just doing the thing.
But I was looking for Geo.
You should have seen all the pages. I had all the YouTube videos I watched last, and I took them off of TruthWorks.
Uh-huh.
I was digging hard because I couldn't figure out what the hell.
Looking for what?
For help.
Oh. Yeah.
There was a lot of help about the file, but not a lot of help around the personal files. Files that Outlook normally makes. I didn't lose those. My email was coming in, my sents were there, my drafts were there. It was my personal files. And so now I got to figure out how to get it back to the font. The font looks funny. It's a little skinny. I can't read all that.
Well, hopefully that'll be a simple problem. Yeah. Here comes Geo.
Okay. Are you going to get Adam Schiff's book?
What's his book?
What Happened After Midnight or something like that.
Oh, about Trump? No, I can't read all those books. I mean, like, I don't know if that's the one they were talking about on Morning Joe today, about him sitting in the dining room and watching January 6th play. I mean, I saw that with my own eyes.
I know. They could take an hour away from Joe Scarborough and it still wouldn't be enough. He is such an idiot.
What did I miss?
Always wondered, Gio, just how dumb white men get these opportunities. That's what I wonder.
Yes.
Hey, Gio, don't judge.
Oh,
I've been at this desk ever since 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Gio, I'm glad you're here. I don't know who else may come, but I think we should go ahead. Karen may come. I don't know about Nicole. Nicole did send me some money though, so she wants us to keep going.
That's good.
Whether she can be here or not. But she's got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm not sure, we're going to actually see her. But, I have been posting the playlist for all of the sessions. I've been doing it like all summer. And so I finally posted the playlist for this session 16. And I have, because of the work I've been doing with BJ on TruthWorks, I've gotten it.
The work BJ been doing with you.
I've gotten in the habit of adding the Twitter names, and posting stuff to Twitter. So I included Imani Perry and Eddie Glaude on the playlist posting for this book.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And they both liked it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna have to watch what we say now.
So we gotta watch what we say, right? We gotta be good.
We famous now.
So let's try to actually have a
Just
chat
tell people who
tonight.
are watching this video, I'm smoking these cigarettes in honor of Jimmy Baldwin.
Okay.
In that case, maybe I should light up.
Wait, what did you say his drink was? What was his drink, BJ?
His drink was Chivas Regal.
Oh, I ain't drinking that. Sorry,
Girl, that's some.
that ain't my thing.
I mean, it's not a single malt, which is my, liquor peak. But
Okay.
it's very smooth. It's very light. So you could drink it all night long.
We know
You
you're
could do a
the
commercial
expert.
for that. Okay. BJ, they're gonna be calling you to do a commercial in a minute, right?
Yes, yes. Well, let's introduce ourselves. And Gio, did you bring a show in town?
No, no.
Well, I
Sorry.
did. So
Oh, good.
let's introduce ourselves, and I'll
Okay.
start off. Hello, everyone. I am Michelle Odom. I'm located in Brooklyn, New York. And welcome to session 16, the 16th book we are discussing together publicly is the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. You can learn more about us on YouTube, where all of our old videos are housed. We also have a Facebook page where we post our events. And now we have a website called Reading Changes Lives. readingchangeslives.wordpress.com. Session 16, we're reading James Baldwin, Nothing Personal, with a foreword by Imani Perry and an afterword by Glaude that kind of bring in some current events to this essay. I don't know what the date is that James Baldwin wrote this particular essay. But anyway, we are glad to be in it. We're not doing our normal agendas and facilitators and all of that with this book. We're just going to kind of pick passages from it and read and reflect. And we're on chapter 1. And I do have something I want to share, but let's go on and get the other introductions. BJ?
I'm BJP Graham, and I'm in Palm Beach County, Florida, holding on to Jimmy Baldwin with everything I got. He has, this man has ushered my intelligence for more than 50 years.
Yeah.
I had to wait for fire next time.
I understand.
Okay, I don't have anything as profound to say as that. I'm Georgette Moses, and I'm joining you guys from Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm enjoying reading this so far and getting some insight into the life and times of James Baldwin during this period.
All right.
I just have to give a shout out to both Glaude and Imani Perry, especially Imani Perry. As an elder, that girl makes my heart glow.
Yes. So, all right. So I am, let me figure out how to do it. I'm going to see if I can share a video, which I'm sure you all have seen before. But I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you could talk about what you've just seen. So let me try to do that. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we just can't hear it.
There's no audio.
No audio?
No, turn on the audio.
Huh. It's on and I'm hearing it. I'm going to take out my headphone and see if that makes a difference.
Look at him looking at the woman's shoes.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Can you hear that?
Oh, it's very low.
Wait a minute. Any better?
Yeah, that's a little better.
It's a little better.
Mhm.
Size, shape, or ability, help them to become man. But what I was discussing was not
All right, let me try one other way.
obstacles, the very real danger of death thrown up by the society when a Negro, when a black man attempts to become a man. All this emphasis upon black men and white does emphasize something which is here, but it emphasizes it or perhaps exaggerates.
I'm going to try one other thing. And then I tried.
And therefore makes us people together in groups which they ought not to be in. I have more
coming out of my
black scholar they have with a white man who's against
all right.
And you have more in common with a white author than you have with someone who's against all literature. So why must we always concentrate on color or religion or this? There are
Oh man. I'm trying to get my little speaker to come on, but it's not working. All right. All right. I guess
Want
that's
me to see if I can do it?
yeah.
Okay. Dick Cavett. Hold on. You have to stop sharing yours.
where I went. I might have gone to Hong Kong, I might have gone to Timbuktu, and
There it is.
Is that a little better?
Yeah.
my pocket theory that nothing worse could happen to me there.
You gotta start it over.
I would like to add someone to our group here. Professor Paul Weiss is professor of philosophy at Yale. Were you able to listen to the show backstage?
A good deal of it, but then I was behind the question.
Yes.
So I heard only some of it.
Did you hear anything that you disagreed with?
I disagreed with a great deal of it. And of course, a good deal I agree with. I think he's overlooking one very important item. Each one of us, I think, is terribly alone. He lives his own individual life. He has all kinds of obstacles in the way of religion or color or size or shape or lack of ability. The problem is to become a man. But what I was discussing was not that problem. Really, I was discussing difficulties, obstacles, the very real danger of death thrown up by the society when a black man attempts to become a man. All this emphasis upon black men and white does emphasize something which is here, but it emphasizes it or perhaps exaggerates it, and therefore makes us put people together in groups which they ought not to be in. I have more in common with a black scholar than I have with a white man who's against scholarship. And you have more in common with a white author than you have with someone who's against all literature. So why must we always concentrate on color or religion or this? There are other ways of connecting men. I'll tell you this. When I left this country in 1948, I left this country for one reason only, one reason. I didn't care where I went. I might have gone to Hong Kong, I might have gone to Timbuktu, ended up in Paris, on the streets of Paris. The $30 in my pocket on the theory that nothing worse could happen to me there than it already happened to me here. You talk about making it as a writer by yourself. You have to be able then to turn up all the antenna with which you live, because once you turn your back on this society, you may die. You may die. And it's very hard to think a typewriter and concentrate on that if you're afraid of the world around you. The years I lived in Paris did one thing for me. It released me from that particular social terror, which was not the paranoia of my own mind, but a real social danger visible in the face of every cop, every boss, everybody. I don't know what those white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. And as Malcolm X once put it, the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
Jimmy Baldwin.
He shut him all the way down, didn't he?
Like only he could do.
Mother called me.
So that's a very famous, you know.
My mother, who was a big fan of Dick Cavett.
Wait a minute. What's going on here?
Called me out of the bed.
Here's the next big opportunity.
Wait, what is going on?
You're an accredited investor.
You have to stop sharing. Did you stop sharing?
Yeah, she stopped sharing, but you gotta pause the video. Uh-oh, now you're muted.
Go back to your up at original sound on to your headset. Is she frozen? No.
No, but
Hello?
yes, there you are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just might be.
See, that's what I'm trying to tell you about that YouTube.
Yeah.
Blame it on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I'm getting this message that my internet is unstable. So that's kind of common, but the way it just zoomed looked like it was freezing. Anyway.
Okay.
Imagine at that time, that went into a stratosphere unknown to white America.
Certainly that white man sitting in front of him.
I'm trying to think where he was before he died. I think he was at Harvard. But imagine all them white people watching Dick Cavett.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sitting there with their mouths hanging open,
mm-hmm.
and saying, just what the hell?
Mm-hmm. Imagine showing up in Paris with $40 to your name and feeling more comfortable there than the place you left.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that says a lot. Well, he could speak French, right? So that helps a lot. The French like you if you speak French, okay? Don't care what you look like. Speak French.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a clip that's been around for a long time, but Raoul Peck included it in his documentary, I Am Not Your Negro.
I've seen the whole thing two,
Yeah.
3 times.
I Am Not Your Negro. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Raoul Peck is pretty special too. You know.
I didn't know him or anything about him until the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's like I was thinking special people special people are in the right place at the right time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know, when I watched that particular clip,
I'm
it
listening.
just
I gotta go to the bathroom.
it just smacks so much of today. You know, can't trust white Christians. Being segregated in the ghetto. I'm like, what decade are we talking about?
You know, it seems like, right, we're stuck in the twilight zone. We know these things, we know the truths of these situations, and still we can't extricate ourselves from it.
Yeah, because it's like something more than knowledge, something more than truth, something more than the facts are needed. And I just think we've never figured out what that might be. You know, Georgia, you've heard me say many times, I think courage is so important. And that's, you know, I think that is a part of what we're seeing in that little clip coming from James Baldwin, a courageousness of spirit. You know, did you hear what Gio said?
What? No. Say it, Gio. Repeat yourself.
What I
Truth. You were talking about truth and being caught in a spiral.
Oh yeah, it's just, you know, we know that everything he said in these situations, you know, we're still experiencing in one form or another, and yet we still can't find a way to extricate ourselves from it. Yeah, you know, we have social institutions that throw money at the problem, but we need something else, something different, you know, something more effective. And even when you look at it on a political level, you know, we believe in these people we send to these different positions, and yet somehow what they've promised us before they got elected never comes to fruition. So you wonder, well, what happens between the time when you told me in front of my face that you understood my problem, you were right here with me, brother, my sister, and then you're off to Washington or the capital or of your city or your state, and suddenly you don't remember any of those things, or it becomes too hard, or you have to wait. We have to wait until it's the right time, or it's the budget. You know, really? You know, it should be easier than that if you actually have empathy and a plan. You know, what is the plan? And then how do you implement it? And like any plan, you better have B, C, and D in case you have some obstacles pop up. You know,
But you know, my response to that is, and it's why I have more patience than most radical thinkers. That you have to, it's almost like the person who has a problem with their boss, and they're gonna have this meeting with the boss the next day. And I'm gonna tell him, and I'm gonna tell her, and she gonna have to fix this, and I'm not putting up with this, and a blah blah blah. Get in the meeting and recognize that it's all so much bigger than what you planned on saying, what you planned on doing. The boss can say one thing: look, Geo, I understand your problems, and I really like you, and I really would like to get beyond this. And that disarms you from what you said the night before, what you were telling your husband you're going to say and you're going to do and you're going to whatever. So I think that analogy kind of fits with so many Black politicians. I don't know any Black politician that has really run for office without good intent. But I look at people like Cory Booker, and I look at people like Kamala Harris, and they're sitting in the Senate with 48 white men who have a lot of money, who have a lot of power, who have already clutched at the controls. And the best thing that they can do is to stand their position and then compromise, because they don't have the appropriate weapons to fight that kind of power. That is why I'm always advocating that elected officials have one kind of job. I never wanted to run for office because it diminishes your ability to get things done. So I kind of understand it, and I do get mad. I mean, Saturday night I was talking about a bunch of the regime of the fat back and biscuits. Because they realize that the only way in which they are going to be able to position themselves in any way that is a little bit equitable is to have powerful people that support them. You know, you look at Jim Clyburn and Big Pharma. Those are the people who chose him. He can use those people. They somehow create a cord, an engagement cord for him as he does his work. Mitch McConnell has the ability that if he wants to do something and he wants to work with his base, he can get on a plane, go to Kentucky, and he can go to California and raise the money, and then he can go to Texas and raise some more money. And every senator has to have the ability to do that. And it was not until Bernie Sanders almost beat Hillary Clinton that Bernie Sanders had that ability, which is why he never got anything done either. Much as he talks, he was in my congressional delegation. He didn't have a lot of power. because he didn't have a lot of money. I bet when he ran for president, he had to buy a new suit, because every time I saw Bernie Sanders, he had the same suit with the same crease. I mean, so.
Well, let's refocus on James Baldwin. And Gio, do you want to pick something to look at in chapter 1 to kind of start us off?
Well,
Well, you want me to start? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, when he starts off with, I used to distract myself some mornings before I got out of bed by pressing the television remote control gadget from one channel to another. And what he does while he's looking at all of these different visions is dissect them as representatives of the what's a good word for it? Vacuousness of American culture, right? We're packaged and painted and what does he say? Slack jaw and all kinds of very revealing descriptions of American culture. The television, right, is what we look to tell us whether or not we're doing okay. Are we meeting the bar of American society? And so the way he describes it, we're just fooling ourselves, right? And relating that to today, we're doing the same thing, only now we have the internet. And
more and more ways of creating a false self. The note that I have here, the day that I was reading this page, I was also listening to a podcast talking about the Brazilian butt, which
go ahead. What about it?
Which, is apparently some kind of surgery that loads of women are having to get bigger butts or perfect butts or whatever. But when you listen to the medical complications that go along with many of these plastic surgeries, it just blows my mind that so many people are willing to take the risk of major surgery for whatever they see as the benefit. And I mean, I've been saying this, my whole life. When I was young, it was the fake breasts, that were all the rage. And I couldn't, people, exploding breasts and all that stuff going on. I couldn't understand it then. So, and I still can't understand it. So, but apparently they see some benefits, and I just am incapable of grasping what those are.
I don't know. I go back to the word that Gio said in responding to your puzzlement about the Brazilian butt. And it's not just Brazilian butt, it's happening all over this country. And it's especially happening now that it's popular. Black women are trying to catch up. That was my thing about Nicki Minaj talking about she had to do her research. Did she do any research about all them butt implants and breast implants in her, I kept calling them plastic bags in her body. What kind of research did you do about that?
Right.
But,
and apparently your neck of the woods, BJ, down there in Florida, is just like a mecca of these little almost drive-by, storefront strip mall type offices that hang up a shingle one day and say, come on, and women are paying thousands and thousands of dollars.
yeah.
I think a cheap butt is $5,000.
Wow.
For doctors who may or may not even have a medical license.
Yeah, and there's another aspect to it, and that is the price that we pay to do those things, the amount of money that women spend on their hair and their eyelashes. For some reason, it is, I think, a hole that has to be filled. Because keep in mind, it was the music, it was the rap and the hip hop, but it was also Kim Kardashian. And how she became a millionaire because her iconic brand was her butt. And Black women already have big butts. I don't get it. It just, and there are some women who are having these butt implants and their butts are so big that it's gross.
Some of them were saying their butts are so big they can't sleep on their back, and then they may have to go in and have another surgery to take some of the butt off, causing spinal damage and whatnot.
I mean, they were banned. One I read, I don't know when I was reading this story, but it was a while back. One provider was buying spackle or something at Home Depot and putting it with saline and using it as an injectable material for people's butt. And I'm going, God, not using medical grade silicone. But it goes back to the question, to what extent are we driven and by whom are we driven in our search, not for ourselves. These women are not looking for self, they're looking for somebody else. And it is such a puzzlement. But aside from that, even in our generation, and I'm not trying to be heavy on young people, it was the car. It was the I'm 2 months behind in rent, but I'm gonna buy this $400 purse.
And I think that's what Jimmy is getting at, in this chapter is the emptiness.
Yes.
That was evident even in his era.
But he also balances that. He talks about the emptiness. And, we know that during that era, people who clean other people's houses, were janitors, worked on the garbage pickup truck. On Friday, they dusted themselves off, got dressed, and went to the Savoy Ballroom, dancing and clubbing all weekend, and then had to go back and do it all over again. So he talks about that as a being captured by certain forms of culture. or what people would say is culture, because I don't think of it as culture. But the other, he balanced it with the emptiness on one end and the people who were digging the hole in your soul on the other side. Mm-hmm. That was his brilliance in my mind, that he could see it both on both sides of this coin, this black coin. And I think that in a lot of his work, what he explains something and then he gives you an explanation about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then he affirms the coin.
Yeah.
By placing the hand firmly on the perpetrator. He doesn't just say, oh, is it Black people losing their mind over the big butts, or is it Black people losing their mind over clubbing and having fancy cars, but they don't have no place to sleep. But he also says, oh, and it's the economy, and it's government policy, and it's white supremacy, and it's the impediments. I mean, he made excuses for people who didn't get involved in the civil rights movement too. So, he was a busy man.
So do you have a passage, Mark? Do you want to read to us?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I said, do you have a passage, Mark, that you want to read to us?
I should sit outside in my driveway and read this book out loud to anybody that comes by. But anyway, yeah, I did mark something. He writes, it is. I'm reading from. Let me put the light on because I am too old to be thinking I ain't blind. On page 10, despair. Perhaps it is this despair which we should attempt to examine if we hope to bring water to this desert. It is, of course, in the very nature of a myth that those who are its victims and, at the same time, the perpetrators, should, by virtue of these two facts, be rendered unable to examine the myth or even to suspect, much less recognize, that it is a myth which controls and blasts their lives. Can we all weep? Because this man wrote this before yesterday.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that still describes today perfectly.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the coronavirus situation that has, it's been such a political football from day one. But I think as citizens, as Jimmy is describing, as both the victims and the perpetrators, we're really between a rock and a hard place, trying to figure out what's true, what's real, who to listen to, what to do, um, and I mean, I know we've all made our decisions and came down wherever we came down, but, I just know for me, it was a very complicated and it continues to be very complicated listening to the discourse around coronavirus, now to take or not to take a booster. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And the voices are so conflicting. There's so much disinformation going on. There's so much bad faith and ill will going on. And yet viruses are real.
Yeah.
I had to remind someone on yesterday that, do you remember, it was but a little more than a year ago that we were looking at China and Wuhan, and we were saying, oh my God, those people have to wear masks. And Tara's little friend with the manufacturing center is right next to the town, Wuhan. And he was telling her, Wuhan, yeah. What was I saying?
Wuhan.
Whatever.
You got the W right. It's okay.
And she was telling me, this is the guy that she coordinates, that runs a manufacturing plant for the parts that they use in her products. And he was telling her that the government was actually, if people tested positive at the beginning of the pandemic there, they were nailing, the military was nailing the people's doors shut. They couldn't come out.
Yes.
So that was just a mere maybe 18 months ago. Things change so easily.
And now we've got the to mandate or not to mandate, going on. And
well, my friend just got back
see us being torn apart, families torn apart.
My friend just got back from Italy day before yesterday on Sunday. And he said that you have to show your vaccination card to go in a restaurant or a store or a museum or anywhere in Italy, that the airlines required, Air Italia required a vaccination card.
Yeah, New York is doing that.
So
not for the little bodegas in my neighborhood, but
Girl, I went to the best bodega the other day. I'm making my own little city around here. I go to all these. People have been living here forever. Says, what? Where? So,
yeah,
I think that I have been trying to think. It's very hard, and I've been trying to think of it all in the sense that this is life. And it's the hand that we have been dealt, and what we do with it. And then that seems so empty. James Baldwin, I never said no stupid shit like that. But also keep in mind that we know more about what happens in the world than our parents knew. which prepares us better, but we don't act like it. We really do not act like it.
Yeah.
So let's examine that further. Here we are, we have more technology, more access, and yet we're still, I don't know, maybe in the words of James Baldwin, people being locked in the past. Why is that still?
I would also add, Gio, which that is an astounding note that you just made, that we're also locked in the present. As a matter of fact, I would say that we are paralyzed in the present, and we're barred from the future.
Yeah.
And I think young people are more young Black people are much more vulnerable to being paralyzed into their present. They neither look back or look forward.
And why do you think that is?
Because we have not taught them to dream. I mean, I'm asking.
Well, do they even listen to us old folks? Do they think we know what we're even talking about?
No. Yeah.
No.
It's just say no.
Part of it is, I think the difference, and it's not just young people, and it's not just in this context, that we have lost the character that says that we have to pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
That is a moralistic choice. And I think as a community, you know, we need to talk about Black people in this shit. That's what I'm saying. But at the same time, we need to talk about it through the lenses of a great deal of critical analysis. And that's not the same thing as compassion. And that's why it's so important for us to understand the diversity of class among Black people. You know, it's last year before last, when I was in Boston, Tara was interviewed by a TV station, and I heard her. I was in the TV station just watching them. They were taping it, and I heard her say, "Listen, I got pregnant in my senior year in school. My parents had spent a lot of money sending me to Brandeis. So once I made that mistake, I had an obligation, because my mother, who only had one child, was in the middle of her career, and she had to babysit for me to go to class in the morning." And I knew, and I heard, I was so proud of her. She said, "I knew I had to pay for that." And that's one of the motivating factors in my life. That when you make a mistake, that everybody's got to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we have a community who has forgotten that we owe each other something. You know, we have forgotten that I know that I owed my mother something because she survived. So I think it's that ethical part. You know, all this talking now about, excuse me for coughing. I forget. I cough so much I forget I'm coughing. All this talking about David Chappelle and how he couldn't figure out that his humanity, he had to make a choice between his humanity and him being funny. He also couldn't figure out that we were not confused about what he was doing. I wasn't confused about it. I mean, I didn't hear the whole thing, but but it's those challenges that we face. You know,
I haven't seen it yet.
Huh?
Oh.
I haven't seen it yet.
Our parents spent a lot of time with an eraser for us. They erased the ugliness and the dirtiness and the filth of our Black presence. You understand what I'm saying? I think James Baldwin understood that. He understood that the civil rights movement could not have happened unless we could proclaim these are the honorable people who come here with dignity and pride. Not civility, dignity and pride, which bears its own embedded civility.
No, I said respectability.
Oh, I thought you said civility. Yes. And, you know, and I got a lot of flack. I got a lot of flack when I was young, and, you know, people talking about, you know, when we went through that period where there was a lot of debate about, oh, you're acting white. And I always thought, how are we defining that? You know, and all this talk about hyper feminism of Black men and the fear. And that's why I said, you know, I wanted to do a show a couple of weeks ago, but I couldn't talk because I couldn't stop coughing. And I was gonna label it, Black people, we got some shit we need to talk about. Because I think that we haven't taught our children how to tap into the honor of Blackness. That they don't admonish the dirt and the filth and the nastiness that we build for each other. And you know, I'm talking about the music, and I'm talking about the butt plants and the turkey feathers on your eyes. I got another one for you, Gio. Did you hear that? Turkey feathers on your eyes.
Yes.
So I just, you know, I think.
Well, I just think capitalism ruins everything, you know.
But we are not capitalists.
Yeah, but we live in a capitalist country. and are subject to all of its influences and temptations and requirements. And even to go back to the Brazilian butt example, for some of the women doing it, their motivation was to be able to shimmy down a pole and make more money. To the extent that our basic needs are not taken care of, then we're pretty much forced to participate in this economy as it is. And capitalism destroys everything. It destroys friendship. It destroys family. It destroys communities. It destroys Mother Earth. It is just a destructive force. Mm-hmm. And so, I just think that to the extent that Black people had some ability to be cloistered in segregated communities, we could live out the values and practices that you're talking about. But the more we have moved into mainstream, or attempted to move into mainstream, then all of the cultural practices that had sustained us have been slowly but surely whittled away. And so our children have seen that, and that's some of why they don't look to the older generation for the most part for guidance. Because I think they feel like we've guided them off a cliff.
Okay. Well, all right, Michelle, what passage do you have? That bomb you just dropped on us.
I think that for me, the issue is that you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And so there was no way for Black people to know what the outcomes would be for us of trying to move into an integrated society. It looked good because the grass always looks good on the other side of the street. So we couldn't know, in 1965, where we would be in 2021. So whatever we're seeing now, we're seeing it with hindsight. And, and that's what I wish young people could appreciate more, that we're learning as we go. It's like when you become a parent, there's no manual. As you said earlier, BJ, this is life and what we do with it. And that's the thing. We're learning as we go, and that involves making mistakes. Sometimes tragic mistakes.
Yeah. We have been back and forth for a number of years, since the 60s, about the whole notion of the impact of desegregation and what we lost as a result. And I think that's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I think that I am more segregated than I have been. And it is with the heaviness of the journey that I tend to have less engagement, not with just white people, with most people, because you understand what a betrayal ignorance is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always said that ignorance was the great betrayer in people's lives, that in families, and work. I just think that is so. And also, Black people suffer so many other kinds of betrayals. The bank, you've been putting your money in and they won't give you $400,000 to buy a house because they think that that is too much money for you to have, when they know that the average market value is 375. That's a betrayal. The betrayal of all these Black people been going to Publix for all these years, because I remember when I was growing up, my family in West Palm Beach, they went to the Black supermarket. That's where I couldn't get the Fruit Loops. And I was bribing people to get me some fruit. Tell your mama to buy me a box of Fruit Loops when she goes to Publix, because my parents didn't go to Publix. I used to tell a neighbor, and she used to laugh and she said, "Janice, why don't you just make the list?" And I'd be complaining, and Mr. Robinson, who was one of my father's best friends, and I would say, "Mr. Robinson in his supermarket, Fruit Loops, he don't have." When the Oreos came out with the strawberry filling, he didn't have them either.
Yeah, because the Fruit Loops look good. What they had at the white store looked good. And, it makes sense that Black folks wanted to access.
By those stores, all these Black people that have paid for Publix. Because, wealthy people, they don't go to Publix. They go to the food distribution company and get cases of ribeye steaks. So, and this woman gives Donald Trump $350,000 as a donation for the January 6th insurrection meeting, whatever he was doing at the kiosk. And they still go to Publix. I told my neighbor the other day, I don't give a damn if they call it Winn-Dixie. I'm going to Winn-Dixie.
Yeah, and that's important. They may not invite us into their homes, but they certainly want our green dollars. So if that's the power, that's recognized, then you need to use it. Educate yourself how to use it so your voice could be heard.
How long have we been talking about ALEC? And we need to boycott Red Lobster and Targets and Walmart and a whole bunch of, and look at all the people who were talking about Black Lives Matter after George Floyd, and they weren't going to give the Republicans any more money after the insurrection, and they right back to giving them those donations. That's a betrayal, and it's no different from the betrayal if Stephen was up there in New Carlton having a woman live with him while he was up there. That's the same kind of betrayal. It's personal. I mean, I take the Koch brothers real personal. You should see me running around. One day I was in the market and I couldn't remember whether their product was the Bounty or their product was the other one. So I just bought the store brand.
And you have to be careful because the store brand may be their brand,
Yeah,
only with
that's
the
true.
store label.
That's true. That's true, Jill.
That's the thing. To the extent that we are integrated into this society, it's
Burning
very
house.
difficult. Yeah.
Martin Luther King ushered us into this burning house. And I had to explain to my parents about Jimmy Carter. I mean, they were big, big supporters of Jimmy Carter. I don't know why my dad was into Jimmy Carter so much when he ran for president. They even sent me a gold peanut. They had necklaces with the gold peanut on it. I'm wearing that shit.
Okay, well, BJ, tell me what was wrong with Jimmy Carter? What did you have to tell him?
He was the governor of Georgia. He didn't have to. And I said the same thing about Bill Clinton. He's the governor of Arkansas. What more do you want to know? A peanut farmer. So.
Well, all those people are picked ahead of time, so.
Well, I have to send you one of these gold peanuts I have.
Okay, send it to me.
And the thing is that we allow them to knock down our walls. And I said to Imani, because she was talking about Jesse Jackson real bad, I said, wait a minute, hold on. You had to know Jesse Jackson when I knew Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson's an old man. Why would you even be talking about him? And he got COVID.
Yeah, he and his wife, I think, right?
Yeah. So I think that people are, just like we were saying before Gio came in, that every great people have a time. I'm buying 5 Adam Schiff books because he tried to tell y'all didn't listen. He is such a smart man. He is such an honest white man, and he doesn't have to do it the way that he does it. Did you hear him on Rachel Maddow's show last night?
No.
Rachel Maddow almost read the whole book on the.
No, I was caught up in my bench.
Okay, that's all right.
Before I had my problem, that was I started season 1 yesterday morning. But
you're not gonna make it. I'm almost done. I'm halfway through season 4. I didn't think I could. I started last week, and I didn't think I could do the whole thing of The Handmaid's Tale. But I kept at it, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be done by Thursday for sure.
Okay.
And I'm gonna
be willing.
I'm gonna be the expert on the Gilead geography and politics.
Yes. All right. Am I on the gift list for the Adam Schiff book?
You want one?
Yeah.
You ain't coming down here to sit. But Tyra said, Mom, why would you have Michelle down there while you're not there? Why don't you just have her come when you come back? Because my plants might be dying.
How long are you going to be gone?
They take one look at me and plants die.
Mason has already counted it, a month and 9 days.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
But here is the thing that I think Adam Schiff was the person that prosecuted. He was in his early 30s, like 31 to 32. Remember when the FBI guy was giving away FBI intelligence information to the Russians and he got caught? and they put him on trial. And the U.S. attorney for that district prosecuted him, and the jury let him go. Then they brought the charges again, and the U.S. attorney in headquarters, right next to the AG, one down from the AG, he prosecuted him, and it was overturned. Adam Schiff went in, and in 2 days got that man 45 years in prison.
Yeah.
And when you saw him performing at both those impeachment hearings, you knew he was the smartest man on Capitol Hill, because ain't a lot of them smart. So I think that everybody comes into their own time. I think that with the way that he handled it with Mueller, and he admitted that Mueller had dementia. That's what was wrong with him in that hearing when he testified, and he really was very apologetic. He said he didn't realize, and he couldn't understand why Mueller's staff was pushing back and didn't want him to testify. It was because he had dementia.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And the dementia came up after the investigation, right as he closed up his report. But anyway, I think that that the universe rotates in both time and people or something, like, are you all familiar with Louisa Tish Jambalaya, the book Jambalaya?
No.
The name, I haven't read the book, but the name is familiar, yeah.
Louisa Tish is a spiritual philosopher, and she does a lot of medicines and stuff, blah, blah, blah. But one of her books deals with the notion that all women of African descent need to spend time need to live close to the water.
Really?
Because
Wow.
it is the water and the tide and the moon. She does a thing called Moon Daughter's Healing Hut. That it is the moon, the tide and the moon that centers African women and allows them to be well. And the many times she's been on my show, one of the things we're talking about is mental health. And she said that one of the reasons as she got older, she continued to do the Moon Daughters Healing Hut is because she recognizes that most Black women have a mental incapacitation at some point in their lives. That's where I get all that crap from, all that stuff from. So I think that it is true about people that as the earth rotates, something else passes with it. And there are people who are prepared, who get moved by that rotation. I think Jimmy Carter was one of those people. I really do. I think Ted Kennedy was one of those people in politics. I really do, because toward the end of his, as he got to become an elder, he was so clear about things. He really was so very clear about things. And Ayanna Pressley and I used to talk about it because she worked in his office. And I used to say, yeah, he's getting old, he's got money, he can lay back and he can be as grand as he wants to be. She said, BJ, no, that's not what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think it's, Jesse was one of them. What's his name? Was the mayor of DC.
Marion Barry.
I think he was one of them. And when he got out of sync with what was synchronizing his life, he fell on his face. So I think that we need to somehow, I think when I walk with James Baldwin sometimes, and I mean, I have literally locked, that's why I can't think of nobody's name, and I'm going to have dementia very early. I have literally memorized a lot of the passages from his books. And I think that one of the ways in which he used his writing was to center himself. That's why he talked about rage so much, because it was a life of trying to hold on and getting through the winds of the rage. So he brings that to us in this essay, I think, in this first chapter, where he talks about his observation of other people. I think he was like the translator, the whisperer, the people whisperer, or something like that. I just think that he gives us a lot of clues of what to claim.
Yeah, I love his work. When I used to be a writer, I can't write like I used to, because all of my health issues have got all my channels. Georgette probably knows it's probably chakras or something all clogged up. But it used to feel, when I was young, it used to feel like I was channeling messages from out there somewhere, that I was just a vehicle, a vessel, and I would put pen to paper and just tear it up. So when I read him, he
that flow.
It strikes me that was his experience. Yeah. That he was channeling. But for next week, I want.
You putting us out already?
Well, I'm going to turn off the recording. I know you don't have to leave though, but I want us to come with one question and one passage that you want to read from chapter 1 or 2, and one show and tell.
Okay.
Okay. Question, passage, show and tell.
You mean a show and tell related to the book?
Right. Related to James.
Right.
Related to James Baldwin. Like what I shared today, the I Am Not Your Negro was not the book per se, but there's loads of stuff out there. It could be a video, it could not be a video, it might just be a picture.
I was thinking that, I have so many pictures of him. Okay, we can do that. Can we do that, Gio?
Yeah, we can do that.
And for
All right,
those of you who are going to listen to this at some point, don't forget Thursday night. And
Oh, do you want to play the video?
oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna be right back. But go ahead and play it.
Okay. I'm gonna
mute myself.
advance. Yeah, so. I don't understand how this works.
What's that?
I'm trying to get to my browser, and it's not letting me get to my browser. Oh Lord.
Are you on Windows or Apple?
You got it?
Oh yeah, it looks like she does.
Yeah, I got it. What the hell happened?
No.
For some reason, it's not letting me get to my, okay. So then I go to, y'all in the way.
Sorry.
Is this thing in the way?
What the?
I have to let you go. Go on now. They needed to do it this way. All the bank accounts and jobs all at the same time. Can you imagine the airport that will work? You girls will serve the leaders. And they're barely
I'm still seeing the carbonite.
What?
My screen has the carbonite.
Oh, you don't, wait.
No, we didn't.
Stop share. Does it still have the, do you see it now?
Yeah.
No, there's a video. Yeah, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have to let you go. Go on now. They needed to do it this way. All the bank accounts and jobs all at the same time. Can you imagine the airport that will work? You girls will serve the leaders and their barren wives. You will bear children for them. In your house. We'll send you to the colonies. And we with food and blood.
The celebration of Gilead and of what we have achieved.
We only want to make the world better.
We come here, we work, we die. We're still here. It might depend on what we do today.
Hey, so tell me a little, who is Karen Ritzenhoff?
She wrote a book called, she's co-edited a lot of books. But one of them is called The Handmaid's Tale, Teaching Dystopia, Feminism, and etc. That brings together, I think, 23 different authors who wrote essays on various themes. Really, they did what we're trying to do, BJ. They looked at the themes and wrote these scholarly essays about them. So I don't have the book. I can't afford the book. The book is $100 and some
$125.
Oh,
yeah. I guess it's like a textbook, all of her books are like
Michelle,
that.
You have the power of the pen. You should write to the publisher and indicate that we're having her as a guest, and if they give you a preview copy.
Oh,
I
would do that.
Long time ago, I used to require all my guests who are authors, call your publisher and have them send me the book.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Let me make a note of it.
You should do the same thing with Eddie Glaude's book.
Really?
Yeah. Eddie Glaude just wrote a book on James Baldwin.
Yeah.
And just like everything else, when I finished reading it, I put it down and I can't think of the name of it. A New Beginning.
Then again, yeah, great. Thank you. I will do that for sure. Because I'd love to read Karen's book, or both of them. But I've been reading so much about her book that I feel like I've read it. Right? So anyway, so what we're doing, just for anyone that may be listening, this Thursday, which is October 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're having a sneak peek of what will be a weekly program starting in January. But this Thursday, we're going to have a sneak peek. And really what we're doing is using the popular TV show, The Handmaid's Tale, as a foundation for comparing and contrasting and looking at current events. And so the TV show, which like I said, I'm almost finished now with watching all 4 seasons, second time. And it's full of violence, it's full of horror, it's full of terror.
You haven't seen our first video? You haven't seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Your video on it, or?
Yeah, we had that. The one you just saw was the second video.
Okay. No, I saw the first one from your website. I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, we're just the name of our program is If America Fails, Becoming Tyranny. And so just really looking at the path we're on as a country, where it could potentially lead, and hopefully what we might do to slow it down, throw some sand in the...
I think that part of what we're trying to do is help people to see the reality of we're experiencing a constitutional crisis and democracy is faltering. And with those two things combined, the people that you see in the state houses, the governors, what's happening in Tennessee, there is no other explanation about why white men are so, and Black men are so preoccupied with the idea of fertility.
Yeah,
and building the white race. That's all this abortion thing is about, is building the white race.
The episode I was watching today, BJ, which is like midway into season 4, is just before June makes her way to Chicago. Remember, she was on the farm, hiding out at the farm, and then she got captured and taken back to the torture chamber. And this is kind of where would they end up bringing her daughter Hannah in to threaten her. But at one point, she has a dinner with Joseph Lawrence, and Joseph says to her, they will hurt Hannah. And June says, Gilead would never hurt Hannah. Gilead loves children, protects children. And he basically said, oh, that's a crock of bull. Gilead doesn't care nothing about children. He said, all of that, the old time values, the tradition, he said the only thing Gilead cares about is power. The rest of it is window dressing. And I remember when he said that the first time, I was like, that's exactly right.
And the thing is that one of the things that I love about his character is it exemplifies for us even the white men who want to be good. They are so corralled in the culture of hypermasculinity and power and control that they can't resist. And that's why you see so many of the people like Bill Gates, and what's the other billionaire man?
Bezos.
Huh? Not Bezos. Bezos is
Elon.
The old guy, Soros.
Oh.
Soros, Bill Gates. You see so many of the men, white men like that, who can't pull away. They have no ability to resist the macho aspect of power and control, because they don't need money at this point. Michael Bloomberg, men like that.
Reach our brother husband, James. I haven't talked to him in ages, but I remember him saying to me that men are followers. You know, it's just the male culture to have the alpha male and the rest of them just little puppies following. I don't think he said puppies, but but he was just so honest and eloquent about it. I wonder if he watches The Handmaid's Tale.
But you know, there's a Black guy on YouTube who does recaps and reviews.
Oh yeah?
They're not very good, which is why I didn't point him to you.
Thank you.
But he is enraptured with The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, well, I still might want to talk to. So what we've been trying to do, Gio, is bring together scholars and experts who, you know, may have some further perspective on all of these issues. And so Karen Ritzenhoff, who has agreed to be our first guest, is our expert on the series itself, The Handmaid's Tale. And she asked the other day, BJ, did you see if she could bring show and tell stuff? And I said, oh yeah. And then I was like, uh-oh, can she? She ready to whip out the PowerPoint.
Okay.
That's the school.
I'm really surprised, Gio, that you haven't watched this series.
I watched most of the first season, but there's so many things I'm interested in. I couldn't get back to it. I'm like, okay. Well, you know, I wasn't of the mind to make the connection to, because I've seen so many of these styled, you know, what if, and this is a reflection of, you know, what's actually going on or what could go on.
Let me share this with you in that regard, because this is my favorite expert. Let's see. This guy really understands that.
Yeah.
See, I see the sons of Jacob as the Proud Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Sons of Jacob, however, are much better funded,
organized and, due to the looming apocalypse, have a lot of members across the country. We also see that they have members who hold high ranks in the federal government. Nevertheless, as the crisis continued, the Sons of Jacob became increasingly radicalized and violent, culminating in the President's Day Massacre, where the president, the entire line of succession, all members of Congress, and Supreme Court are killed by them, but they blame it on Islamic terrorists. Afterwards, a new provisional government made up of civil servants, some of whom are allied with the Sons of Jacob, take over. First off, how convenient every leader of the federal government was in the same place at the same time this decapitation strike worked. Second, for the Sons of Jacob to succeed in seizing control, their infiltration of the federal bureaucracy, military, intelligence community, etc., would have to be near complete, and yet no one got elected to public office? There are Congress members today who think a baby-eating satanic cult controls the world, and you're telling me not one member of the Sons of Jacob got elected to high office? Really? And yet, while it seems implausible, I can't dismiss it completely because, unfortunately, we in America live in a post-capitalist world. The people who attempted to overturn the results of the 2020 election weren't just alt-right trolls. They were lawyers, CEOs, civil servants, cops, active duty soldiers, or veterans. Many were middle or upper middle class or had access to resources most Americans don't have. Hell, one rider flew to DC on a freaking private jet. So just imagine if those traitors were as organized and funded like the Sons of Jacob. So if you asked me before January 6, 2021, whether the Sons of Jacob's coup was plausible, I would probably say no. But ask me that now, I think it's plausible enough that it's really scary. Okay, let's get back to the fake America and its problems. Shortly after the coup, the new government declares martial law, and you start seeing the precursors of the Guardians appear on American streets. Women's rights, which were already on a shaky foundation to begin with, are soon stripped completely away. Women are prevented from working or even holding wealth, and since so much of people's finances are digitized, the government is easily able to deny women access to their own bank accounts. There are protests against the new regime, but these are violently put down. Presumably, this crackdown led to the Civil War that The Handmaid's Tale refers to, one where America is almost completely driven off the continental United States, while the provisional government evolves into the infamous Gilead. While there is a lot of yada-yadaing about the Civil War, to be fair, The Handmaid's Tale isn't military SF. It's a dystopia where women are treated as breeding stock. That being said, that doesn't mean we can't speculate on what this Civil War would be like. It's important to point out this Second American Civil War would not be anything like the first one where the slavers rebelled. It's doubtful that the infertility crisis will have clearly defined regional sides, like how the first Civil War had the free and enslaved states. Ideology will determine which side your average person is on. Pro or anti-Gilead will divide entire communities or even families. The American military itself would be divided. Looking back at this map of Gilead, we can assume the Anchorage-based America and the rebel-controlled West Coast could not exist without the Pacific Fleet being on the front U.S. side. Nevertheless, given how the provisional government was able to enforce martial law and ultimately conquer the continental U.S., it would appear that much of the Army and the various National Guards were allied to the Sons of Jacob. As for the other branches, I'm not so sure, but given how influential evangelical Christians are with the Air Force, we can probably assume they sided with the Sons of Jacob. And it's anyone's guess what would happen to the thousands of American soldiers stationed overseas. We can also assume there would be private militias that would either ally themselves with America or Gilead, or even just become another faction in the Civil War. The Southern Baptist rebels mentioned in the novel might not take orders from Anchorage, and may be like Rojava in our timeline Syrian Civil War. And much like that war, the Second American Civil War is going to be a bloody fight. We could see all the horrors of modern warfare, such as tank battles across the Midwest and drone strikes on American cities. More low-tech militias will rely on IEDs, car bombs, and even suicide bombers. We may even see the use of chemical and biological weapons, or even nuclear weapons, as one of the Gilead maps does suggest at least one was used in California, although I'm not sure who was responsible for that. Presumably, America's infrastructure would be completely destroyed by the fighting, which would mean food and fuel could not reach the cities, forcing people to abandon them. The dikes around New Orleans could be destroyed by Gilead after they were denied the city, flooding the port. The Hoover Dam may also have been destroyed, which could have devastated the entire American Southwest. In fact, one wonders if the colonies were created in part because of a scorched earth policy enacted by American forces as they were driven west by Gilead. Thinking about this makes me wonder if the refugees we see in Canada are downplayed. A height and scale the show suggests would create a refugee crisis even worse than the one created by our timeline Syrian civil war. Non-Americans would be the first to flee the country, likely right after the coup, as they would not want to take their chances under the new regime. Once the civil war erupts, however, the number of people crossing the border would only increase as Americans flee the fighting of societal breakdown. Canada and Mexico would take most of the refugees, as they are the only ones who share a land border with America. But you may see Americans along the Gulf Coast make for the Caribbean nations on whatever boats they can find. The Anchorage government may also try to evacuate as many people as they could to Alaska, Hawaii, or other regions they controlled, but they would probably prioritize the families of soldiers and people who can help with the war effort. Also, this would be a civil war that would have massive ramifications for the rest of the world. I mean, the American economy is the largest in the world, and it will now be cut off from the global economy. Meanwhile, the US dollar would lose a lot of value.
Tonight is a celebration of Gilead and of what we have achieved.
We only wanted to make the world better. Better. Better means better for everyone.
I don't know if this is different from the other one. Same music.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how come it's still playing?
Okay, you got the same problem Phil had. It must be Zoom and YouTube. They don't get along.
I agree. I agree.
But this guy has given it so much thought that he put maps together.
Yes. Yes.
And it made all kinds of sense to me. It made every kind of sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. You know what Gio was saying about there being so many dystopian stories. I was reading an article, a blog post today by Tom Hartman, I think it was, who was asking the question, how far down the road to fascism are we? And he goes through and he provides a list of maybe 20 or 30 items of things that have happened over the last 40 years or so that have put us on the road to fascism. And he talks about how when you listen to people who lived through what happened in Germany, that a consistent theme is it's so difficult to, when you're in it, and all of these little unconnected things or things that may have a reasonable explanation, or things that get blown off, like what we're hearing now, like January 6th, that was no big deal. And if you're not really steeped in all of this shit, it's very difficult to see the pieces coming together. And then one day,
but the Weimar Republic fell because people were so fearful and frustrated by all of the violence that the Nazi Party was creating in the street, that they just decided, okay, well, whatever, as long as we can get that stopped, I'll vote for Hitler.
Yeah.
So, but I think when this guy brings in the evangelicals, when he brings in the Proud Boys and the rise of white supremacy organizations, the complicity with government, the absence of government is what he's talking about, because in the book, they kill off the whole Congress, the president, everybody got killed.
Mhm.
And when you think about it, he showed a picture of the State of the Union address. They're all there, except for the
We could have almost had that situation on January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And what the hell is wrong with Mike Pence? All right, I'm going to stop the recording because I need to curse. All right.
Great.
Y'all don't leave it, but I'm going to